Welcome back to the next video in this series about how to use SQLiteAdmin. Just before we move on to indexes, I just want to show you how to add a table constraint. This is probably a little artificial, but let's say that you wanted to define a unique constraint on a combination of the CD ID and track ID. They obviously should be unique. So we click down here, and here's our little toolbar for dealing with table constraints. It moves around depending on which table constraint tab you are on. I want to add one here, and it takes me into the table constraint palette, a bit like the column palette. It's got different tabs on for different types of constraints, and it's used anywhere that you want to manipulate table constraints. So here in this drop down menu we're going to see a list of the columns in the current table we're working in, and we just click on them to include them in the unique constraint. So we want a combination of the CD ID and track ID to be unique, and I'm just going to leave it at that. If I ever made a mistake, for instance, and put the track number in there, actually I did make a mistake, didn't I? I don't want the track ID in there. I want the CD ID and the track number to be unique. Okay, I'm done with that. Click here. And now we've got our unique constraint showing up here at the table level. I could modify that or delete it with the toolbar. Okay, so let's talk about indexes for a second. I'm actually going to let's go into preferences for a second. One of the preferences is to include SQLite internal tables and indexes in displays. So I'm just going to switch that on for a minute so I can show you that we have an automated index here created by SQLite. And the reason for the existence of that index is because of the unique constraint that we just added. SQLite implements unique constraints by creating a unique index. However, even though it's in the list, you are not permitted to modify it or delete it. It's just there for information. So I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to go back and switch off that preference, and get to preferences, click index, and then go away. Alright, so we've got an index here for that was the foreign key index, right? So I think what I'm going to do is let's go to tracks and think about what we might need an index on here. Indexes, of course, can have a huge effect on the performance of your database, but they do rely on you knowing in advance what sort of ways the data is going to be accessed in. So I'm going to pretend I already know that I'm going to provide a way to search through tracks on the track name. Since I'm going to have hundreds of CDs and thousands of tracks, it's probably a good idea to have an index on the track name. So let's go to indexes, and we'll add one. And index, give it a name. It can be whatever you want. I like to give them a name that starts with the table name and then has the name of the column or columns that are going to be in there. I've got to tell it which table we're associating this index with. It's going to be on the tracks table. And as soon as I select that, it brings me a list of all the columns in the tracks table, and I can include whichever ones I want to be in the index simply by selecting them. you can select multiple ones with the usual modifier keys on the mouse clicks. In this case, I'm going to do an index on the track name. In addition to the name, you've also got here the collation sequence you want to use for the index and the sort sequence. They're not used that often, but I'm going to select no case for the track name. That means when I sort on that column, then upper and lower case won't matter. They'll be sorted together. It's not unique, obviously. You could have more than one track with the same name. So I'm going to create that index. And there it is. Go back to tables. Go to the tracks table. Look here. And there we've got our tracks index with no case on it. Now if we wanted to, we could modify that index by clicking on here. Modify only allows you to change the columns that are in the index, not the name or the table that it's in. We could also delete it, and I'm going to delete it just to show you another convenience feature of SQLiteAdmin. Are you sure? Yes, I am. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to have to key it all in again. No, you don't, because now the undo icon becomes active, and this will undo the last action. It's not a complete undo, it's just the last action. So I know the last action was to delete. Click the undo, back comes the index again. So a little bit of protection there from accidental deletions of things that shouldn't be deleted, or modification. Okay, I think that's all we need to do on indexes. In the next video we're going to talk about triggers.